14 that planned renaming of Arch 22 put on hold. This according to the Minister of Justice. Tumanjai versus PPP, two others adjourned to July 1st. CDS Jammeh urges soldiers to stay away from politics, tribalism. These and more headlines on the Standard. Let's take a look at some of these stories in detail. The Standard has been reliably informed that the planned renaming of the Arch 22 to the Memorial Arch has been put on hold. The initiative to rename the edifice located right at the entrance of the capital was started by the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, which involved the National Center for Arts and Culture, civil society organizations, the Banjul City Council, among others, in its coordinating committee. The event was scheduled for June 28, when the arch would be renamed a Memorial Arch, where victims of the Jammeh regime would have their names and all properties displayed for posterity. The National Assembly yesterday officially declared two sitting legislators expelled by the opposition Gambia Democratic Congress as independent. It comes after the party wrote to the clerk of the National Assembly informing the House of its decision to expel Salifu Jawo of Jokadu and Keba Jalo of Jara Central. The party accused the lawmakers of being unpatriotic over their alleged shifting of allegiance to President Adama Barrow, an arch rival of GDC leader Honorable Mama Kande. Attorney General says government considering mechanism to prosecute perpetrators. The Minister of Justice has disclosed that the government is putting in place appropriate mechanisms to prosecute perpetrators of crimes under former President Yahya Jammeh. Addressing a regional conference on the domestication of atrocity prevention norms at the state level, Dauda Jallo, whose statement was read by the Solicitor General, said considerations are currently underway with regard to the appropriate mechanism to deploy for the prosecution of crimes that have been occurred, given that most of the offenses disclosed are not known under our criminal law. Court removes Jammeh from suit after summon expired. The contempt trial against the Alcalo of Duwasu, Yahya Nyasi, and co-defendant ex-president Yahya Jammeh commenced yesterday before Justice Ibrahim Jaite of the High Court in Banjul. Justice Ibrahim Jammeh was the second defendant in the civil suit by 1 GB Bar of 16 Rankin Street in Banjul against Yahya Nyasi, Alcalo of Duwasu village in the Combo East District of West Coast region. However, former President Yahya Jammeh was later removed from the suit after the writ of summons expired because the former president could not be served in Equatorial Guinea. Meanwhile, Tumanjai versus PPP, two others adjourned to July 1st. The case involving the expelled People's Progressive Party Banjul South Nam Tumanjai against party leader Keba Jalo and the Independent Electoral Commission failed to proceed yesterday. Tuma, a former aspirant leader of the PPP, was expelled from the party, and the legislator is seeking a court order to set aside her expulsion from the PPP. The Chief of Defense Staff, Jammeh, urges soldiers to stay away from politics and tribalism. The Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambia Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Yankuba Jammeh, has issued a stern warning to the men and women of the Gambia Armed Forces to refrain from politics and tribalism as the country is heading towards the December 2021 election. He was addressing soldiers on Monday at Njongon, Kerpate and Farafenye military camps as he began his nationwide tour of military deployments in the country. The purpose of the tour is for the CDS to articulate his vision as well as have an interface and direct dialogue with troops under his command in order to gather first-hand information with regard to their working and living conditions. That will be it for the newspapers. Let's go for a break and we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Watanbe, brought to you by Africell.
Be part of the amazing conversations with Gambia's greatest minds and personalities. Get ready to be entertained, inspired and motivated on the Watanbe platform. Plus, stand a chance of winning the shopping of your life. Call or SMS 1010 for $3 is only to win cash prizes and a free shopping spree.
Join Watanbe live on GRTS and social media on Mondays and Fridays at 9 p.m. Kalin New Watan.
Where Africell goes, nobody dares to follow.
And now, the Minister of Youth and Sport has cleared the air on the recent $11 million reward awarded to the under-20 national team of the Gambia, presented to the GFF officials by the president on Monday following the boycott of the presentation ceremony by the boys. Here is an excerpt.
Themselves and the GFF. What we were presenting or presented at the State House was kind of a reward, a thank you, a token of appreciation for the team qualifying for the AFCON. And that was what we said, that it's 11.1 million. That's what government at the moment can provide for the national team for qualifying. And like I said, let me repeat it again. This 11.1 million is not related to their winning bonuses. The winning bonuses have been paid fully. In fact, in one of the games, the players were paid March bonuses when they did not even win in one of their games. In addition to that, government have been investing quite an adequate resources in the last 1 year in terms of ensuring that the team qualifies. We provide the funds. The ministry, the government provide the funds for it. They submit budget, and we work according to their budget. And each player who appears at every game, whether you play or you don't play, is paid an appearance allowance, or they call it a camping allowance. And if they win, they are paid an additional amount as bonuses for winning the games. If they draw, they are paid half of the amount that is calculated in full as a winning bonus. And government and the ministry and the GFF did not owe the boys any of these games. All the games that they have played, as far as we are concerned, those monies have been paid, transferred from government to GFF, and they pay them in full in all the games. So we don't owe the players anything. We don't owe them allowances. We don't owe them their rightful privileges or implied contractual arrangements that they have between themselves and the GFF. What we were
Africa Global presents the new Tulip Gardens. Taft Tulip Gardens is set to comprise service plots in sizes ranging from 220 to 570 meters square. Deposit as low as $83,600 is only an 18-month interest-free payment plan with only 20% deposit on the service plots. Please contact 376-2333 or 776-2333. Tough Africa Global.
Welcome back. The opposition Gambia Democratic Congress has expelled 2 of their MPs after the duo allegedly switched allegiance to President Adama Barrow and his National People's Party. Osman Jatta has more.
The GDC had months settled on dismissing the 2 MPs, and it was made official this week after the Speaker of the House declared them as now independent MPs. Making comments to the press at the National Assembly chambers, Honorable Omar Cisse, GDC MP for Jammeh East constituency, who is also the spokesman of the party, says the move to dismiss the 2 MPs was a collective decision taken by the party's central executive.
This is what I am telling you. I am the top executive member of the GDC. I represent the voice of the GDC. So obviously I make you understand I was one of those that delivered the letter here. I am one of those who would facilitate your process. I was one of those who attended those meetings. I am one of those who was aware of everything that was taking place in this process. To the extent up to today that they are expelled. So there is nothing that I do not know about this. So obviously this is a decision that was taken by the central executive and not just the party leader.
The 2 dismissed MPs are Salifu Jawa of Jokadu and Keba Jallo of Jara Central. They have been reacting to their dismissal.
Expulsion for us from his party is not a surprise for us. We were just expecting it at any time. So it's a welcome move. We have welcomed it, and then we are very happy. Now, he was accusing us of supporting President Adama Barrow. We are categorically clear, telling him that as today, we are the supporters of President Adama Barrow and his agenda. 100%. We are going to support him. He cannot do anything out of that. And what I want to tell him that this is a big blow to his party, because he brought 5 seats to this parliament. But as I am speaking today, he is left with only 2. 3 has gone. So that's a disaster to his party. So I am telling him that this 2021 election, Mama Kade is going to see fire. He's not going out. He's not going anywhere. I can attest to that. And then the results will prove that, inshallah.
That is, we are not adhering to their objectives. So if you look at their objectives, then therefore, would not be a good objective. Because as Honorable Salif Jau outlined, that's what we were doing in National Assembly. In the chambers, when you, whereas you belong to a party, if you are coming that party color, you have to leave it at the gate and enter in chambers as an ordinary individual, an ordinary citizen who is there in the chambers representing every person of the population of Gambia. So these are the principles that we were operating on in chambers. So this is why when some issues are tabled in the National Assembly, like the bills that he have mentioned, that is the local government amendment bill together with the draft constitution. So he had not to support it. But why is it that he has to tell us that we don't have to support it? He has to leave us with our conscience.
With some members of the public already claiming that the move is a big blow to the Popular Party, Honorable Cisse insists the dismissal of the 2 MPs from the party will not destabilize the Popular Party in any way.
Others will leave your party, but others will join your party. You are talking of those that will be leaving the party, but you are not emphasizing those that will be joining the party. This move, this step can impress others in other political parties that join the party. This move, this process can haunts the others that are in the party to leave the party, but others are also coming in the party. So make that comparative analysis and see what advantage are you going to get out of this.
The 2 MPs argued that they came to the parliament through the tickets of the GDC party, but were quick to reveal that they were not voted by the GDC, but the constituent they represent. The said MPs claim they were voted by the people of Jara Central and Jokadu respectfully, so that they can be represented at the National Assembly chambers. Since the formation of the President's National People's Party, NPP, most people from other political parties have started cross-carpeting to the President camp, leading many to believe that these 2 MPs were on the Barrow's net even before their dismissal. Now the million-dollar question is, are MPs elected to represent a political party in Parliament, or they are elected to represent the people who voted them in Parliament? This is the million-dollar question which remains to be unanswered. Reporting for the Fatu Network News Review, Usman Jata. The GDC
Sadio mangla nuyu di la gërëm di la sant bu baax di nuyu ñi sa programme bi yépp né assalamu alaykum.
MC comme ni ma ko waxee rek dalalaat nañ la fii nii si Fatu Network doo fi gan sa parti nag démb gis nañ ne mu ngi doon make headlines yu bari MC lan la nekk di xew biir GDC.
Waaw am nga so suma parti ñi ngi def headlines or breaking news dafa nekk rek Gambien si dañ gaaw a fàtte li xewoon démb si ndigi député yi nekk lu bees lu yàgg la député yi nga xam ne ñoom dañ leen daaxa si parti GDC daaxa leen gaay weeri yàgga bu nga xam ne ñëpp gis neen ñoom ñi ngi taxaw si meeting yi président Barrow di wax ne ñoom Barrow leen àndal ak pateem ñun GDC lu ñu def rek mooy pour yëgal di clerk or di speaker of the assembly ne ñii daaxa leen si parti bi pour gars yi mun a ñàkk seen some of the allowances yoo xam ne ñu ngi ko am committee 6 foofu because soo bàyyi xel am na committee nga xam ne mu ngi am si néegi député yi soo nekkul si parti doo mën a am
mënoo faa bokk
doo fa mën a bokk ak bénéfice yoo xam ne yu fa nekk doo ko mën a am so booy they are criminals ay bandi leen because ñoom xam ne nekkatuñ GDC ba tey ni ngi uyu turi GDC néegi député yi loo xam ne loolu baaxut loolu jaaduwut correct wut peut être foog ne député yi nga xam ne ñoom ñoo war a pour account to the government or to the officers yi nguur bi ne lu ñu def nañ ko jaarale si yoon ñoom si boobaam ñoom ni ngi def nga xam ne jaaduwut because nekkee ne yow taxaw nga si political rally bu président Barrow ne yow entre le GDC bàyyi nga GDC yaa nga ana Barrow yaa nga dooleel Barrow tey ñoom président Barrow si nekkoon Barrow rek la woon tey Keba Jallow nekk député Salif bu nekk député because 2017 mu ngi di ut toogu député président Barrow jamono mu ngi neexoo UDP mu ngi génn di campagne al UDP bu mu demee Jokkoo dafa ne gars yi waa Jokkoo yi man président Barrow soo leen ma déggalee ngeen bugga ma bu leen saaneel GDC candidat bi muy Salifou Diaw mu dem Jara Central tam mu ne man président Barrow su la ma déggalee ngeen bugga ma suma candidat mooy candidat UDP o candidat coalition bi jamono boobu ko gaa ngi noonu nax Gambie si ne daa wase coalitions seen député yi mu jël si xaalis sponsor leen candidat UDP support leen pour gaa mën a win Salifou ak Keba ak suñu candidat GDC yëpp ñoo xam ne taxawoon leen te ñoom su nekkee ñoom te egg nañ fii léegi ñu ne ñoom léegi dañ bàyyi GDC pour dem ànd ak Barrow kenn ko am nga sa right boo doomee ànd nekk da nga war a xalaat démb amoon na jamono yow mun loo fay deposit parti bi ñoo la fayal deposit parti bi ñoo la campagnal image Mama Kandeh nga use pour mu mën a win because seen flag seen posters yi flyers yi Kandeh moo fa nekk ak ñoom.
waaw because si seen biir kaddu li ñu nekk di wax moo nekk ne GDC taxut ñu taxaw ñoom ñi leen taxawal mooy seen constituents daanaka fu ñu jógee.
moo laa woon ne loolu ko xam ne xam nga politique mu doxee. GDC taxawul leen kan moo la fayal deposit kan moo la jox campagne fond kan moo la campagne comité GDC moo la campagne di parti leader of the GDC Honorable Kandeh mu ngi si ground bi for each constituency 5 days di ana house to house. some of them sa lu ñu wax gars yi mooy bu leen xool candidate bi xool leen Mama Kandeh jëmaam ngeen sànnil kii mooy suñu candidate su nekkoon ne GDC taxawul leen oo GDC sofatul leen kon ñun wit because tey ku gars yi anal tey muy Barrow da dem ak son peut-être ñoom jamono boobu amul dara di ngi strand di ngi bureau amul xaalis campagne for sax amul ko woon soo ko da GDC ñoo doon flop dajale lu leen support bu gars yi mën a campagne after mu joxee gars yi campagne fond so ñoom suñu waxee ne ñoom GDC taxul gaa win loolu nekku dëgga Salifou Diawo Jokaal ba ki dem Ndiaye oote na métier mu yóbbu benn saaku sukkur mu nekk na comité bi maa leen ko jox gars yi boo ko dóor xas ko fa.
lu tax
bi ko ñu ne ko yow dem mu on booy dem si Barrow waxul tàmbaloonu peut être ñoo tax nga win so kon ñoom ñoo xam ne tey bàyyi nañ ji daaxanin gars yi si parti bi nekkul lu bees. media bi ñoo nekk du focus Gambie dañ gaaw a fàtte ñii den campagne against the party during the by election sax jamono boobu gaa ànd ni Barrow Keba was in Nyamina West campaigning for NPP candidate Salifou was in Jokadu campaigning for NPP candidate for councillor ward so ñu yàgg ne bàyyi GDC but di clerk bi ak speaker bi ñoo dilee lii moom mu egga fii but bu yàgg la war a annonce gars yi seen nag as independent MP si house bi ñu change seen toogu yi comité bi nga xam ne gaa ngi ko doon benefit di lekk xaalis ci turu GDC mu xam ne waruñu koo lekka nekkatuñ GDC they are criminals ñu ay bandi leen they are very ungrateful.
léegi MC ñu wax si the reason why because ñoom lu ñu nekk di wax moo tamit ne mooy ne ñoom seen reason lu tax ñu leen di daaxa biir GDC mooy ne GDC dictators lañ loolu lañ nekk di wax. démb even if you look at the reactions on social media loolu la woon and people are questioning the internal democracy of the party.
nit ki di woo dictator dañ laa dictate ñu oo la ñu ne ñun parti position mooy ñun we are in support of the draft constitution. te boo ko xamee ne MP GDC nga parti position mooy lii dafa des si yéen loolu la bëgg a def. bon parti position mooy di support leen draft constitution bi loolu ne ko da nga ko dictate de ne daf ko bàyyi force oo lii mooy lii nga laa daax.
kon soo dafa mel ni problème bi nii foofu la commencé woon. the rejection of the draft constitution
balaa loolu sax day never attend GDC programmes suñu la waxee ji programme GDC amul fuel baro su ootee gars yi dem fa. suñu newee ne GDC activité ba deuxième temps ni ngay undermine GDC programme seen own consequences duñu ootee métier duñu waxtaan su ko ne GDC duñu waxtaan comité GDC bi amul time yi gars yi suñu nee ne GDC dictateur la Kandeh dictateur la ñoom ku gaa ana tey muy président Barrow mooy nekk dictateur bi Barrow fi la daxa Yakumba Jeyte daxa na fi Yakumba Jeyte because of soxadu ko ñaata civil servant ñoo ñàkk seen liggéey ray naa fu mu nekk because of soxadu ajana bu Barrow mu doxalee réew mi ban ajana la président Barrow am bu gën Mama Kandeh ak GDC ajana sax xaalis tapale ñàkk a wax Gambie si dégga réew askan bi réew mi ni yaa ngee soona nga ne yow ba Barrow am na ajana ba ajana Barrow am nga xam ne mu njëriñ réew mi ñu gis seen bopp si ajana boobu amul benn ajana ne réew mi gis na si loolu ñi seen ajana mooy lan seen poste ak seen biir mu daga ana président Barrow boo du indi si réew mi boo ko xamee ne Gambien nga bu nga sa réew doo ana président Barrow bëgg na réew mi defee gis nañ ko fu mu nekk nii nit yaa ngee sonn nit yaa ngee dee si lopitaan yi even soo bëggee dem si lopitaan raay naa fu nekk nga ne doo fekk glove député yi ñoom seen baay ñun yaaga neen daxa gaay ñi amul njëriñ ñii 2016 nekkul ni ana GDC 2016 gars yi bokk benn parti xam fu gars yi kenn xam fu gars yi bokkoon parti GDC bu mu koo samp 2016 amul député amul councilor amul chairman we have very small committee ñu am 17%, 89,000 votes. Jamono boobu boy yi nii yëpp kenn nekkul GDC. Opportunité moo am parti bu es la ngeen ñëw apply ñu jël la ngeen taxaw ngeen win ci toogu GDC. Into nga bëgg a dem di undermine di parti bi. Parti dafa am principe dafa am code of conduct. Soo nekkee si parti dina war a guide. Bu ko yaa ngi represent parti bi at the assembly war na mën a guide lii ma position parti bi. Soo ko def Omar Cissé am na loo si nga xam ne daf ko vote parti bi soxla duñ ko wane dañ ko daaxuñ ko.
So how about the timing? Because ñu bari ngeen wax ne comme right now is not the right time because ñu ngi si time yi xam nga election season lañ nekka démba sax bu ma doon read reaction yi social media am na ko wax ne yéen foo leen nekka ni yéen amatu leen ngeen ne da ngeen a daaxe yow how do you respond to that?
tey mun daax ak gars yi dafa yàgg léegi la egga si naka si askan bi wala media bi yàgg nañ ko publish nañ ko sax ay yoon ban timing la ñu xam ne nekkuñ parti bi since last year bokkuñ ci parti bi nekkuñ ni nga undermine parti bi ban timing ñii 8 or 8 hours dem parti bi is going to move seen committee bi day in GDC kenn bàyyi GDC even seen family yi sax mënuñ faa win exemple feeñ na si kër Amadou Salifou Diaw fu mu dëkkaam village am fu mu juddoo si bàyyi élection si ward bàyyi élection bi in Jokaadu ward dëkkaam muy kër Amadou Salifou Diaw dafa daanu GDC am na fa 400 votes NP am fa 100 votes loolu yàqut dafa campagne ak GDC te ward boobu. It's not about député booy yi nii booy yi dara.
ñu ngi represent parliament de.
lu gaa represent parliament they are very weak at the parliament la fa gaa represent ñuy represent parliament GDC xam nañ leen ñu xam ne li ngay represent the interest of the people ñu lu fa gaa nekk ban condition nga gis ñuy def si parliament bi in turn they are there for interest of president but one individual bu ko si seen poste bool mu ngay may gaa yi fuel but political party lu ko doxal lu ay from few individuals parti bi bu mu eggee fii ñu fa sacrifice mu egga fii nekku ñii
xam nga during the Nyamina East by elections Nyamina West right ñu bari buñ fa jógee dañu wax ne GDC parti bi dee na démba lii bu mu génnee dañ gën a taxawal ne dëgga fu mu nekk nii président Barrow ak MPP am bi dañ jeexal GDC.
Sadio dem by election de Nyamina less than 5,000 votes naka la mën a reyee parti a well established political party dem by election daanu by election dafa tax nga parti dee GDC ifir mama kat MC Charles ba tey GDC sax parti bi du dee parti bi daal MC Charles dafa move bi daal mama kat dafa move boo dem by election Nyamina nga daanu rek mu dee déedéet oh boy nii ñii duñ dara ñii seen area ci taxawal independent kay duñ am 10 votes ñun xamante ne ñu neen ñuy dem di wax yu xam ne mama kat dictateur la ba dictateur mama kat mosal bokk si diisoo de GDC ko ñu toog bu ñu endos Keba Diallo mama ne ko fa woon
So how do you analyze the election process, voter registration process bi?
Voters lu ma analyse mooy jigéen right now ñoo ëpp fu mu nekk nii jigéen yi ñoo war a decide bi ko gis ne li xew si lapitaan bi jigéen yaa ngi soona understand da ngaa lapitaan war a am doom ñàkk sa bakkan réew mi doxul fu mu nekk nii and ay si tam neen yokk process bi dañ ay high time la ñu extend duration bi.
Extension bi is one thing but foog nga ne Gambians yi seen bopp sawar nañ si election bii nii.
waaw xam nga lu ko waral mooy opposition dafa am lu xew Gambians yi dañ xaw a lose trust si politicians yi because benn dafa am lu procédé waxtaan mi campagne di nga campagne wax lu nekk ñu jox la boppi réew mi nga def lu la ne because tey ñu nekk si boppi réew mi tey ñoo nekkoon opposition for the past 22 years lu gaa doon against nguur bi fi nekkoon lu gaa wax si nguur bi fi nekkoon yëpp gis nañ loolu yëpp lu bëgg gën a bon loolu gaa yi ko def peut être gis nañ ne AIC ñu gaa yi da joxee voter register bi da ngaa dem si centre bu nga xam ne benn machine moo fa nekk nga war a rang ay ñetti awas nga war a bàyyi sa tëj sa place wala uti dépense du la ko jaral because looy wax mooy politiciens yi da ngaa dimbale gars yi ñu falu seen doom yi ak seen fa ak ñu gars yi ànd naa ñoom ñooy enjoy ñu mbaadule ba tey ñu ngi sonna because président Barrow moo ko wax sooy campagne lu la neex ngay wax soo toogee lu la neex nga def soo ba tey political party am na responsabilité pour dem waxtaan ak askan bi wan leen ne fu mu nekk nii nañ ut voters card bi looy jooy looy complain looy wax ne réew mi neexul réew mi dara doxul fa lu ko mën a génne mooy suñu carte yi but still now process bi war naa time bi war nañ mën a pass bari tey ni yaa ngi register fu mu nekk nii boo dafa des.
naka nga gisee number bi total number bi right now ñi nga xam ne dañuy register.
waaw total number bi right now gis naa egg naa fa naa half of naka 1,500,000. foog na almost léegi few weeks moo def pour mu war a ñu war a jiyee deadline bi. peut être ay ñu ngi tegal fa na 1.something million. so foog naa loolu ba tey si man time bi war nañ mën a jege million fu mu nekk nii. waaw kon xam naa ne ba tey AIC have a lot of work to do pour gis ne because commission AIC nekk si AIC bi nekkul ñu bees si liggéey bi yàgg nañ si liggéey bi because tey ñu fi nekk yëpp depuis time yi Jammeh ñoo fa nekkoon so warul am benn problème si liggéey bi even machine bi nga xam ne tey ñu contracté bi war nañ di wax mbiram bo machine nga ma machine bi dafa paan machine am na problème yooyu ñu ngi koo gis fu nekk
léegi fu mu nekk nii process bi tamit gis nañ ne mu ngi àndaa wax bu bari because there are so many allegations yoo xam ne ñu ngi nekk di génn si ñeneen yaa ngi wax naan waaw ñi yaa ngi ñu ngi register minor ñu ngi register ñi nga xam ne xëy na nekkuñ ay Gambians ñeneen yaa ngi wax ne party agency dañ ngay dem xam nga si registration site si di harass nit ñi di leen wax ne nekkuloo Gambian wala Gambian nga yow naka nga gisee loolu noonu.
waaw xam nga soo gisee gars yi bari yi tey xel si mbir yi foreigner yi because President Barrow supporter moo ko wax si meet the people talk muy Pa Jaay fan naa yow sax koobar nga loolu si sa benn story maa ngi ko fàttale ko ne President Barrow na wax a CF ak alkaali ku ñu ibbi frontière yi suñu dëkkandoo ñu jox leen votas ka ñu mbutaan la President Barrow condamnul ko ministre of Interior condamnul ko so suñu demee gis ne léegi yooyu fu njaamu tey xel pare xam ne ni nguur bi nekk fii tey ñoom lu gën a foog mooy jox foreigner yi votas ka ñu butal leen wax naa ko suma ay wax fii ku bëgg sa réew nekk Gambians xam nga ne kii mënut a yóbbu réew da ko jox sa carte boo tey ñi nga gis ne alkaali yi ak administration bi gaa di joxee nii alkaali yi bari tey ñu ngi si ron ministre of local government and land ak ministre boobu moo nekk national treasurer of the MPP et political party la bu nga amee ñu si nguur bi fu mu nekk nii peut alkaali si ron ministre bi leen nekk su administration bi gaa di joxee nii ñu ngi ko jox ñu xam ne nekku doomi réew mi on the age bi wax noppi ñu xam ne amul di age requirement bi.
but ban proof lañ am pour wane ne ñu ngi register ñoo xam ne nekkul Gambians
yaa ngi evidence yaa ngi gis evidence yi ne ñi nekkul soo demee yaa ngi gis nataale pour ñu nga xam ne yaa ngi ko jël presque yaa ngi gis loolu wala at the end of the day revised code dafa am some of these sort of the alkali ak CFO yi nañ ko challenge to the court but dama feel like ne ca Gambians yi ñoo am right pour election président du foreigner yi du nekk ko xam ne nekkul doomi réew. so kon lu ma foog mooy moo tax ma gisee police ay ji ñu joxee press release ne agency neen distant from the interfere of naka ñu ñëw pour registration.
naka nga gisee statement boobu noonu.
statement boobu dama foog ne ay si police yi ñoom ñu ne su ma xamee doomi réew nga war ngaa mun a nekk police sa boppa soo gisee criminals am ko xamee ne foreigner nga ut kii ci Gambia yooyu criminal bandi nga loo dafa war a jaar sa kaw yow nga nekk agent nga toog fa gis ne kii nekk doomi réew mi am nu xamante ne Gambia réewut war ngaa mën a alaat di immigration officer bi au police fa nekk ne kii nekk doomi réew mi bala nga war a xaar revise code lu kañ la wala xam nga ne kii du Gambien par une toog nga toog bi si biir kër ministre of local government daal ko xam ne même MPP la executive committee MPP la këram nga def fa voter register center in sandu par xam nga élection mooy mun naa defa mooy yàq réew su jaaru si yoon so moo tax ma ne alkaali ak CF itam pare MPP bi ngay def mi xamuñ ko because yaa ngay jox nit ki vote card nga do ko vote card mu ñëw vote against yow because some people they decide bu si elections mun nga am nit ki de ka mu la vote card mu am vote card mu dem ba di élection mu du la votal loolu mun naa possible so Gambians si ñoo war a am right pour ut seen carte vote seen président not about foreigners nga xam ne xamuñ suñu problème ñu daj ci réew mi fi
yan kàddu nga am pour bàyyee Gambian si MC xam naa ne fu mu nekk nii yëf yi commencé na di tànga parce que election season fu mu nekk nii dugg nañ si ba mu pare.
waaw kàddu yi ma am pour wax Gambian si mooy dugg nañ si jamono elections muy ndaw yi laay wax ñëpp xam nañ ne unemployment bi dafa yokk si réew mi ndaw yaa ngi sonn ndaw yaa ngi frustrate lu ko war a mooy nguur gi nekk fii leen diggoon ne leen jox ay liggéey joxuñ leen ko fu mu nekk ne seen time leen xool ñoom seen boppa ñoom. juróomi ati President Barrow ñoom la ndaw yi seen la yokku ne la wàññi ne si wàllu am-am si wàllu liggéey yëpp dafa dem zéro nee di ul furaska lu ngay de coow di complain si mbedd yi si vuu yi carte bi moo wane si mën a génne ñu dem ul furaska ut ko tam taxul nga jaay ko woo taxul nga téye ko bañ a sànni carte soo ko jaayee tey nit ki doo ñëw si moom ne ko ne ah lapitaane amul garab de du ko da nga ko jaay nga jaay sa carte doo complain jigéen yi right now ñoo ëppa soo fa ñoo xam ne ñoo register jigéen yaay dem si lopitaan bi jigéen yaay dem si marché bi démb rek benn jigéen dem na lopitaan pour buddi bëñam bi ñu ne ko gulof amut mu ñibbi ak pen bu bàkk dunda baa ngi ni mu nga yokk FID kaara ngi réew maa ngi jigéen ñi ñooy seen doomi xale yu bari xale yu jigéen leen ñu war a dem ñu ngi rek la yónni gars si biti because of soo génnee ñu ne laa téye si yoon bi yëpp lu ko war a mooy nit ut voters card bu kenn jaay sa ngor si xaalis nga xam ne benn fan la ñaari fan mu jeex because NPP as a party ñoom lu gaay foog mooy joxe xaalis because président Barrow amul ité askan bi amul ité réew mi bëggul réew mi because su bëggoon réew mi tey du toog ba lapitaan di ñàkk a golof di jël ay millions di ko jox supportam yi ay pick-up di ko joxe réew maa ngi nii lapitaan problème la police yaa ngi nii amul moto su amul moto amul essence kon is high time ñu jël taxaw bu baax pour gis ne Gambia am na change pour gis ne solution bi ku mën a isi change si réew mi mooy Mama Kandeh président Kandeh nañ jël suñu carte sànni ko Kandeh yéen journalistes yi yéen a ngi def GDC underdog loolu we are very happy about it su nañ joxee suñu article si doo leen ko publish yéen a ngi publish ñaari parti UDP NPP ngeen jamantee gaay rek ngeen teg GDC boor without GDC change du am fi without GDC Barrow du génn fi Mama Kandeh moo fi nga génn Barrow Kandeh rek moo nekk président si réew mi fii parti bi nu mu gróoyee même parti musu koo gróo ñu bokk GDC FID moo ëppa soo gisee 2016 GDC jëru toogu président bi we have many followers but amul voters card tey mu ngi ko dégg only 6 months la woon but right now ñëpp ñu voters card fu mu nekk dafa sànni Mama Kandeh mu jël toogu président bi but underdog is good focus leen si ñaari parti ngeen seet 2016 ñu underdog leen ñoo fi def change and the same thing mooy repeat this time dañu toog soogu président bi soobee yàlla
December daal GDC ñooy dem
suñu diggante State House mooy elections.
jërëjëf MC Cham.
Thank you
very much. Welcome back. So the world celebrated World Food Safety Day on June 7th, and today I am joined by officials and Quality Authority of the Gambia to discuss relevant food safety related issues, but most importantly, the Codex Commission. I am joined today by Principal Food Inspector Mutar Sonko on my left, and of course, Principal Scientific Officer Lamin Jaite. Welcome to the FATU Network, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Let's begin with you as the Principal Scientific Officer. What can you tell us about this whole Codex program and its role in ensuring food safety in the Gambia?
Well, Codex, it's a joint body set up by, it's a joint body set up by WHO and FAO, and then there are about 162 members, including that of the Gambia. Gambia is part of the members of the Codex Commission. The Codex Commission is a standard setting body for food. And the standards they set are the benchmark for international food trade. So when countries want to trade, the benchmark for the trade between the two countries is Codex. And then when countries are in dispute as well, in terms of food trade, the reference body to settle their dispute use Codex standards to settle disputes. So in short, the standard development process at the level of the Codex Commission, all countries participate, including that of the Gambia, and then the standards that they are developed are developed based on consensus. It means each and every party has to agree to the requirements that are outlined in the standards before it becomes accepted. So in the Gambia as well, when us as a regulatory body, when we want to set regulations on food, the first body that we try to look for in terms of that existing document, we go to the Codex Commission because we participated in the development of the standards, and then international food trade is actually guided by those standards. So we just go and take those standards because standards by nature are voluntary. It's not mandatory for anyone to implement. So we take those standards and then form them into regulations, and then we enforce them. It becomes mandatory. So if you are selling a particular product, it means if we adopt a regulation based on Codex standard on that product, it means you have to comply with the requirements outlined in the standard so that the authority can recognize that food into the country.
And Mutar, what is the significance of Gambia being part of this Codex program?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Like he said, basically he has given a very good description of the Codex. So the importance of Gambia being part of the Codex is basically to show that Gambia is also part of the world, basically. And what the world is doing in terms of food in particular, that the Gambia is involved. The standard settings involve, it includes the participation of different countries. All member countries will have to sit in a certain development of certain standard or a guideline or a code of practice. And Gambia, as a small country, as small as we are, we also sit and we participate equally as big as a country of United States, as big as a country of Canada. Our participation is equal as their participation. So which means food that is imported from US to Gambia, Gambia has a say to what are the qualities that we require from US to Gambia. Gambia has a say to what are the food standards we want to come, that we will be importing from Canada to the Gambia. So in essence, that's the importance of Gambia being present. We have a say to the standard of food that we want to be imported to our country.
The question is, do we really have a say? Because sometimes a lot of people wonder, we have all these international organizations, the FAO, the World Health Organization, and sometimes people tend to say that we care about, or they seem to care more about what's going out there from our country than what is coming in. How concerned is the Food Safety and Quality Authority of the Gambia is when it comes to what's coming into the country?
So, going back to the Codex and the standards. So the standards are set by Codex and all countries accept them. Everybody is, obliged to go by the standards unless you have a secondary legislation which proved scientifically that you need something better than the standard. So some of these countries, which are richer countries, for example, the European Union, they have done certain degree or certain level of scientific research which are more advanced, if you like, or which are more suitable for their people as they feel. These scientific researches require a lot of money. They require a lot of investment, which the Gambia don't have the capacity to do. So it goes down to the poverty level of a country. It goes down to the financial strength of a country. Gambia, as we all know, is a very poor country. Some of those researches let me put it very plain to you. Our laboratory facilities in this country are next to zero. We do have, but they are nothing close to what they have. So the type of researches they can do to approve or disapprove certain quality or certain standards of food, we do not have.
Which brings me to my next question, Lamin. Why is it important for Gambia to invest in this COVAX thing?
Well, it is very important, like Mukhtar says. Scientific work cannot happen in the absence of money. It also cannot happen in the absence of data. And to generate data, you need to invest money, right? And part of the things that you need to invest in is into laboratories. Because like he rightly mentioned, Gambia currently, we don't have, we have 0 accredited labs in the Gambia. We have laboratories, but none of them are accredited. Even us at the level of the authority, we are now setting up a lab, but it's on the process because we are still installing certain equipment. But it means it has to take time before we get to the accreditation level. So it means it's a step-by-step process, and it takes a lot of money and resources, both material and human, to actually go to the level where these international partners are at. So both government, because sometimes government cannot do this alone, both government and the private sector, because the private sector also are beneficiaries of what we do. Because if you want to export to the external market, if you are a businessman and you want to probably attain a market outside of the Gambia, it means Gambia has to be able to meet the requirements out there. So for us to do that, it means we have to have the internal capacity in terms of laboratories. So we have to come together and see how best we can jointly equip our national laboratory system to be able to do scientific research that we can use to actually protect our population using scientific data, in the absence of which it will be very, very difficult to do the work.
Yeah, which I want to ask you about, because you are the principal food inspector. What are the implications of not investing in food safety?
Well, the implications are wide. Food is, they say we are what we eat. So I think the government, although the government is doing a lot, the food safety, as a body itself is doing a lot. But the government needs to redouble. We need to redouble our investment in the area of food safety. Some of the things we eat, they don't have an immediate impact in our health. They don't have, in most cases, they don't have acute impacts, acute, outcomes. They have long-term or chronic outcomes. So it takes a lot of, it has to take a lot of, the government has to put a lot of investment into the issue of food safety in the country. We have seen in this, currently people are saying there are a lot of non-communicable diseases, diabetes, high blood pressure. Some of them can be related really to the foods we are eating. So putting all those things into consideration, I believe the government really need to invest particularly in laboratories. Labs are what really help in, making definitive decisions, researches that are very important to make certain decisions with the food that we are even importing in the country,
I know for a fact that most of the tests that are done by the FSQA are in fact done in Senegal and other countries. Now, Lamin, I know, like you said, that we are what we eat. And just before we started this interview, I made a joke that if we want to start talking about food safety, let's begin by telling our people to stop eating the dege, because we know it contains a high level of aflatoxin because of the quality of our groundnut. Now, I know this is your area. How are we dealing with this still?
Currently, the authority is doing a lot of research in the area of aflatoxin contamination in the Gambia. And we are on the verge of going nationwide to collect samples at retail points. This is points that are very close to consumers because that is where the impact is. Because you just buy it off the market and go and prepare and consume. So when we are doing our sampling, we want to make it as close to consumers as possible to understand the risk exposure. The exposure level, how exposed are they to probably aflatoxin, and what are the contamination level in terms of aflatoxin contamination in the Gambia. So there has been a lot of work in this area, and of recent, Gambia is now a beneficiary to what we call AflaSafe. AflaSafe, as you know it, aflatoxin is actually caused by a fungus called Aspergillus. You have Aspergillus flavus and Aspergillus parasiticus. There are different species, but these are what actually cause the aflatoxin. These are fungus that grows on the groundnut due to high moisture concentrations, and then after a while they start producing toxins. These toxins are very heat stable. You can cook it for 1,000 years. At 1,000 degrees Celsius, they will still remain in the food. Yeah, so because they are chemical metabolites, you cannot, they are heat stable, you cannot disintegrate them by cooking. What Gambia is doing as with respect to the AflaSafe S1, SN1, SN1 is also a fungus, just like the one that is causing the production of mycotoxins or aflatoxins, but they are different. These are also fungus that do not produce the aflatoxin. What we do is they are being administered to farmers so that they can apply it on their fields. When they apply it on their fields, it now competes the fungus that does not produce the toxin competes with those that actually are not producing the toxin. So it's like survival of the fittest. And these ones are actually what the Americans call pimped. They are pimped in such a way that they can overcompete these other ones. So when it does that, it suppresses the growth of the other ones. By doing that, the aflatoxin contamination level will effectively decrease. And if it decreases, it means the aflatoxins will be very minimal in the groundnuts. So of recent, there have been a great success in terms of the farmers that this aflasafe have been given to, and they effectively applied it in the correct manner. We have seen a significant decrease in aflatoxin contamination in farms that actually applied this aflasafe. I can say there is almost 100 log reduction in terms of contamination level, because in the past you could see that there are contamination levels up to the 300,000s. But now from the 300,000s you are seeing the contamination levels going as low as 0.5, which is very significant because of this intervention. So we just have to invest in more, but not only do we have to invest in more, our farmers have to go back to their old practices. In the past, our forefathers used to respect agriculture. They don't do agricultural work in a haphazard or lazy manner. And now human beings are very much lazy. When we go to the farms, we harvest our groundnuts and leave them on the floor like that. And then the rains will be there, and then the rains will be pouring on these groundnuts. And then the way it is actually left on the field, the leaves will be up and the groundnut kernels will be down. If that happens, is when the moisture, after the rainfall, the groundnut leaves absorb the moisture, and when it absorbs the moisture, is like the moisture goes down on the groundnuts, on the groundnut kernels. So by that, it is actually exposing the groundnut to a lot of moisture. But in the past, what they used to do is when they uproot the groundnuts, they turn it upside down. The kernels will be on top, and then the leaves will be down. So the moisture that the leaf absorbs goes in the ground. And they will also put it on raised platforms as well. They will not place it directly on the ground. But these practices, you don't see them anymore on our farms. So probably the old generation will attest to what I am saying, that this was the norm in terms of farming practices. And also farmers in the past, they don't grow groundnut on the same field year in, year round. Or every year, or annual, every rainy season that comes, they probably grow a different variety of product on that particular field. But now, you see the same farmland being used, every season to grow groundnut. And when that happens, you are increasing the aflatoxin fungus level at these grounds. And in the past also, we don't use bags of rice to store the groundnut in our stores. In the past, we use what we call jute bags. We call them sako pompiter bago. In the past, that's what we used to store groundnuts. But now you see people using rice bags, which is made out of polythene, plastic. If you put your groundnuts in there, at some point the groundnut will start sweating. And when it sweats, it means it's absorbing moisture. And groundnut should have less than 10% of moisture in them. So it means you are increasing the tendency for those fungus to grow on your groundnut. And if they grow, they produce the toxins. So these are practices that were not happening in the past, and were happening in the past that were very good, and now people are kind of like, shifting from that to more what we call a traditional, a lazy approach. Let me put it that way. From our traditional approach to a lazy approach, and this is causing a high impact on our groundnut market. Before, we used to export groundnut in the Gambia as a premium product.
And people do not know that the issue of aflatoxin is actually the reason why our groundnut is not being exported, because you know that when it goes to European countries, it's not being fed to human beings, it's being fed to animals. I think it's usually used as animal feed.
Yes.
What is the economic impact of this?
Obviously, the economic impact is high because Gambia, our main cash crop is groundnut. It means the government invests a lot into groundnut production, and the government also buys this groundnut off farmers. And this is what almost the Gambian farmers, this is their livelihood. This is where they gain their finances from. This is where they feed their family. But in the past, they used to sell this groundnut at premium market price globally. But now they cannot sell it at those big prices because our aflatoxin contamination levels are high.
It's very high.
So, and that is why in most markets, when our granules are exported to those markets, they still accept them, but they will accept them as low quality, and it will not be destined for human consumption. In fact, it is not actually not destined for animal consumption, but wild animal feed, animals that will not be indirectly consumed by human beings. Because if you give it to an animal that you are going to consume later, you can consume that aflatoxin again in another form. So this is why in some of these markets that the groundnut is going to, they are actually processing those groundnuts to feed for wild animals that are not going to end up on our plates at the end of the day.
It should be a cause for concern for many, and then you walk into any of these markets and then you realize that market women are actually mixing the good one with the bad one, not knowing that those bad ones you are seeing are actually infected with aflatoxin. And I think this should be, you know, a cause for concern to anyone out there, particularly about food safety. And now back to you, Mukhtar. There is so much going on out there when it comes to food safety. You know, this is 2 years after the best water debacle that we had. I know you guys are here to, you know, promote the codex thing, but we have to go a little political. And after that, we've also seen images surface online appearing to show what looks like sardines, expired sardines. We have to talk about this. All the sardines, almost all the sardines in the Gambia, they taste horrible and it smells really bad. Is the FSQ aware of this? And what has been your reaction so far?
Yes, certainly we are aware. We are aware of the market. This is our job. Anywhere food is in this country, we have a fairly good knowledge about it. I would like to talk in the local language for the purpose of, I don't know if that is
absolutely fine.
That is fine.
Yeah.
So coming encourage back walam Jammeh, that is the general population, more ke police in terms of food safety. Let me tell you about Ndola office Benjamin. In terms of inspection, every day, literally every day, and our officers, our work is actually 24 hours. We Hanisuto 12 near Kolke, and we have an emergency. There is a standby car. There are standby inspectors to go and attend to a problem. So incoming advocate, everybody yeke police wotiba. Ne incident jadamen. Kana natal ya send WhatsApp group or ya send to someone. Send it to food safety, send it to the right people. There are problems that we cannot attain at the same time. We need the help of the public. We had an issue with the sardine, and then we have, you know, collected samples. You know, we have seen what is wrong with the sardines, and actually the initial one, the problem we did actually a press release from a Bondiwala on our Facebook platform, you know, indicating there are most likely storage problem. The owner may sang, you know, member distribute can maybe a master okay. You know, that was the basic problem. So let the public help us. We are begging for your support. The support in terms of nale problem inform us immediately. We will react. The market is big. Our capacity is not yet to the level where we can be everywhere at the same time. So we need the support of the people. So before we leave here, we'll leave our contacts. If you have a problem, a genuine problem, you ask us to come on, you know, give us genuine problems and we will address it.
So now, but the inspection part, Alkamu issues less sort of out there because now it all comes down to the attitude of the people. Because I know that Alka problem also when you go out to inspect, because people have and stuff like that. Are these problems you encounter out there?
We encounter them not so commonly, but we encounter even today as we speak. Coincidentally, you asked this question. Before we had to close one supermarket because Inspector Duntale, to find out some expired products, trying to talk to the man, insulting, saying crazy words. So we had to engage the police. Ngasoronga ite man serious. Dol nara do so be lajang. Ite ko dol nga finti tele lat. But ngeni soro ite e batu follow. Nate asidu. And actually we have powers. The government has written laws giving us powers to prosecute people. We can close you. Ngesamba court. You will waste your time, you will waste money. So just comply with us. Until we are not here to fight or to close anyone. We are here to make sure the public is safe. We are not being paid to just go and sit at the office. We are field officers. Our department is called the Food Control Directorate. Our job is to go to the field, inspect and make sure the food people are selling is safe for consumption. Sometimes what people more lack knowledge of what is safe and what is not safe also is different. Depending on your knowledge and your understanding of what is food safety. So generally, dobeje population or mol katai ka finti si fendo je sabo hey ndopolo jibe atra is fine to eat. Just because ila understanding is limited in the issue of food safety, you might think it's wrong to eat when it's actually fine. At the same time, people can see something which they feel is fantastic to eat, and it's crazy abe fala leti adomo. So public, what in these days, this month, covering Food Safety Day, we are trying to engage the public as much as possible. Awareness creation, saying okay, na target ballot, because people's understanding of food safety among Warabake in the country. So we are going to the radios, we are going to Fatu Network and all the other, media platforms to make sure the public the awareness raise. About food safety.
Yeah, Lamin, when it comes to Nanata standard scholar, does the FSQA have anything to do with that, or that is just left to the Gambia Standards Bureau to handle?
Okay, when it comes to standard, like Ngafoye Jammeh, there is an international standard setting body, which is the Codex, Memo Codex. But nationally, National Standards Bureau, Melfanang Marata Standard Development. So Standards Bureau olfanang ekamenke wolam ning ilafta standard developer on food on domoro what we to able government they don't reinvent the wheel ekamune fulo ke ekata codex le ya jibe fo lafta standards men developer codex ya soto le bang fo ma soto ning codex ya soto e ko tale rek ya domesticate into a national standard and ya reference e Gambia to kabala. But in most cases, I can direct adoption. Yata codex blue rec, yaki national document. Because because we participated in the development process initially. So it is as much our own as anybody else. Because mabeta bribo document daka. So na bota woto ning Gambia natreko itafanang itata standards menini odlat. Among soto mumeke at international level, because the domoro dolbiji is a asake Gambian domoro donate. Like for example, ning standards bureau ko ila fa ebe standard de la along it da dunia to ebe jodla,
which will so because ebe bolo minje ning tabo ko silo ka siata bakale will come back to that because there is too much street food in this country. It's just crazy. But yes,
so ebe jodla, so it's like a Gambian food, right?
Yeah.
So it means ning standards bureau after or standard de la, they have to develop it from scratch. And the NIBA developer, Standards Bureau as an institution, it will form a standard to develop. The stakeholders will let a standard develop because standards are owned by the stakeholders. Yeah. And part of the stakeholders, all I'm telling as the Food Safety and Quality Authority of the Gambia. Because Ning Standards Bureau standard data, it is a voluntary standard. At the time, use and then Amandia may ya today. But Nintel you standard Nin Standards Bureau develop. Nake loi bukoti, nake regulation not. A forcé mal wala momo kan pour yo standard ya safe nyame ya bara wo nyama ni ma bara wo nyama loi bulo sika. So of recent authority yamuneke aba loi bukol dira kan because yes man ni ko angalo ka fumi the primary law is there wala loi buku bati bu bijele waro loi buku ba ni hajibe ya safe nyame atana dogo atan amang sembentu ya pour ngana dogo beka nyama. So it means nyanta loi buku ningo de dalal mi alanko amanke because loi buku ba ka to abol ka fumi general issues akole address but loi buku ningo ni what goes into specifics. For example, niko let's say mano mune yatina mano ba safe la and in terms of quality mune mano la quality sounding mune mano la safety sounding. You will not find it in the primary law. It atala act nyinkono loi buku ba nyinkono bari ni regulation otari je if there is a regulation on rice You go to that regulation. It has a regulation okono ya yale. Abatandi le ko pour mano ya fo a quality tal. Anyanta ni sarta anyanta wala timmandi la. Ni ko pour fana price safe. Anyanta ni sarto wala timmandi la. Na wo timmandi then del fana as a body mba fala nimbado akoyta la pour moya domo. Ano nimba test la fana. Ko sarta bu ko le landi ka je ko nyimano anyanta ni sarto timbandila anyanta ni sarto timbandila anyanta ni sarto so wolam telam sumandirda busudi so ko luwa bu ko leta na sumandiro ka so say na authority mbo luwa bu ko leta ka pour kan sembantu ya ngana duko ka nyam so luwa bu ko follow ngamen bondi wolam e ka fo me registration and licensing regulation otumo since the inception of the authority bring authority ni bunda masakunda bunda yele anin scientema mba registration okay kaneno bari ka kele free yena ngi register and then we have a database yo ngi sort na database kono pour na inspection sa sone bari o mankanya because ni ngi register idan na certificate wala spec nin tata ni mamma anyama loi ya fu nyame e kam to ko mbitala ngi soro ni ngi yele eta maybe lokum fula yaka nyama loko saba nyawa yemura kan kotante ando ay mola dogo ko yati so ko bari bawa bole nyama ando loi ya sembodi mola la pour nga buku ndingo da me alon ko aba mol sembontu yala pour kana dogo ka nyama ko mbatu ngal regulation dida me alon ko momo ba romoro wafla ni banko kan be register la ngi license ni ngi license ngi register ngi license it means nga license no dila pour you operate ni ngo license no dila pour you operate ni ngo license no ba sarto le landila yenyi sarto timmandile ngaf fele ba license no dila nga license no dila pour you operate bar ni o sarto nga yati mandi nyame ni ada san design mana license no busi le bulo kono ani nga na license no busi bulo kono loi ma sembo dila pour you do moro wafi ando ni do moro wafi akamuto ko iba wafi kan illegally le ando nim loi bulo la te kan aba buso la le kan so wala tina ngani regulation na fena ando say mol bina kan be register kan so say amanke registration kan sen otide say be register kan an be license kan loi ala de jame ni ma yo nyama ni la license no revoke ni a violate we fine you ni fine man kan ngi samba court ni court butu fana bulo la te kan atuta loi court bu ngoy no ni lafta ye fine ani samba ye landi kasoto because yalong food safety and quality you are iba hadama dingo la baluo ibola man toraka because ni maka nyama ni moya domo sama ba falal andu na fat ete wo domo mel la manoka ya ete so domo bondi noje andu isa adomo nya isa senoje bari o human life o niwo men mol futa yala ito murla noje o ya bondi je wonyam so wala tina ko mata wala tina loi ni loi je ko loi men tinya asembo wartal dumando wate ka busu dala men la ka ke soronne ya fayta la ka soto an ko do fananjo so nyim bel bi jeel and sometimes ni ko do jo akata la fo dala so wulu keme 100,000 wolam an ni loi bunda killing neo violate sometimes dol kata la fay loi bunda tam yemen violate neo dal si wulu keme la fo signa tango mo delet alors siata andong nga busu da sifa la ka dol business dol kan jande mi ala ko itate joro kele ye man sakundi tata man code la bunda to le tata ni samba code le court ye fine for more than $1 million and ya jole so among jari o bila among foto ni aka nyama ntel taf mulota silema because among ken na intention de pour kana ka mol la business o soro because if anana balu la bije but ni maka nyama fanam because you are dealing with the lives of people fo nga na do ko ka nyama
Fonse Nyodima, and which is why I want to come back to you, Mr. Food Inspector. What are we doing with all this street food, all these ebers and whatnot? How do you deal with that?
Okay, so food safety always in Nara media. The street foods are our number one toughest challenge. I mean, sort of street foods are very difficult to control in the country. Well, not only in Gambia, mind you. Street foods are difficult to control in every country of the world. They are the most challenging to control because many get a restaurant or supermarket or mini market or factory, mostly they will have educated people, they will have staff all trained, they will know what is what is a food safety issue, maybe no good hygiene practices. But street food wafilal are just common lay people, mostly among educate fang. They have not been to school. So the number one priority for street food vendors is sensitization. We cannot just stop everyone from selling. You cannot do that. You have to have, number one, the legal requirement, like he said, which government developed this year, and we have started implementing it. You need to have the legal requirement to support and help you. Luwa in Tamandi. Purka luwa Tamandi, you need a law. Yeah, which is the regulation that we have 2021. How are we doing this regulation? I started from the top. We started licensing the factories. We went down to the restaurants and supermarkets. We are coming down. By the end of the year, hopefully before the end of the year, we will reach the categories of vendors. So foods are categorized in different categories. Vendors are not the same like factories. Vendors are not the same like supermarkets.
Suppliers and stuff.
So we are coming down and we will reach the vendors. Nimpurata vendor la time moment. Inshallah, even ma
good.
And then I don't know for the sister soul ebeka diale bage. Nin start take ebel bonjang. Let me tell you the Gambian attitude. Gambian we have a problem, and individually we need to change, and as a unit we need to improve also in certain things. Gambian people will come to our office, they complain. Tanying dulakari, we have a problem jang in Nafenko. We go and close these people. We have people calling us kavanye dukarala yele. Nalia sorong funding kelem, Nalia dula sorong abikoro bondilem. We are doing our job. Help us do the job. Don't come and teach us.
Not knowing the risk that are involved.
Not knowing the risk that is involved. This is the Gambian people. They will complain, you act, they come and ask for help. Let us do our job freely. I think that will be very helpful. Ni Gambian ni ngau attitude ta. Ba di ngolo nyinti, hey nkoto ma di mala nyinti. Nana dukare makoi. That is affecting us. People come all the time. You have sorondrong call beduna. You start receiving calls from left, right, center. And then thank God we have a very good, people in the office. Once you are closed, now you have to go to the right channel.
Right.
Yeah.
So Lamin, even for Gambian as far as food safety is concerned.
Follow. Gambiano daltale kata sandridula torek e domoro sang imale ba me sanka. Andung domoro sartol le balari domoro la karola. Wulati na domoro iba domoro sana dawda rek aba poto kono aba paketo kono e ka safero le jabal. And then it is important akum mayatale pour yo safero jibe jani bo domoro sikala. Ando Gambiano dum mangi jiko soto. Tumando baro hanite sajo ni tumando baro ni tata bitiko de ga sika wala nyama e buga jibe
buka ke bari yalon nyanta mune katala e ka drink call min landi serakunda ka advertise je for $15 lem for $20 lem bank. When you go to that section, that's exactly where the expired foods are actually lined up for people to buy. Cameraman is laughing.
Johnson, I think they even had a name for it.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
So Mina, so what nan ka for Gambiano nyanta wo attitude social sign can read before they buy, because yes, expiry is an issue, but the major issue is not even the expiry. It is storage and handling. Handle food melmang expire iba carton kono iba poto kono ni ma handle ya store inyanta store la nyame ase fano janaba expire la fam anu Gambia no bukodol.
And recently in Nigeria, I think Sunkaro Konoleng, a lot of people were infected in a particular town because they bought this expired juice, which is also a habit in Gambia.
Yes.
Ni Sunkaro Kanasi, ni Salo Kanasi, Akatara lining Manole Kangiba, $5 and $3 and whatnot. And you see people literally running for these kinds of things.
Exactly. So Latina akumayatale member suffering abala worried follow. And the first thing in men follow Jibela. Manufacturer kasa mele domoro nyada kasa fijil. O domoro nying anyanta mabola nyadile. Anyanta mutala nyame akatari safari njele ni yasika yaje ko iko nying domoro anyanta mabola tenne anyanta mutala tenne andu memba wafika mabo nyaba ma muto nyam afili je ite la hajo. You make an informed decision. Isalon ko domoro kono lomde na dum daji abu ko kude yalna membita kanje you have made an informed decision. Then isina expire jibe expiry man ke follow gambe no hani mel kat karandiro ke katamu le follow jibe ka poto expiry le follow jibe and expiry man ka beti it's not the thing and domoro dol fa bije walatina expiry from a different classification le soto.
What does it mean when you say best before or things of that nature?
Exactly. You see Portobala just say best before. You see Portobala expired by. You see Portobala sell by. Ila ala ika fring men iman killing. Niaje iko best before. Ning atambita wo lungoro. Ala safety woman compromise.
Cannot be guaranteed.
No, ala safety man compromise.
Okay.
Ala quality wala compromise. Maybe niya domo a diata no nyame ata diala wo nyama maybe a koita no nyame ata koila wo nyama. So it means the quality has gone down. You understand?
Yeah.
And quality is subjective. Mem with a quality and mem with a quality a different level. And that is why we have the standards objectively measure quality. So a quality jital but amake ko a safety compromise even past that date, right? But niya je fana sell by ikata Adam Sasane mburo ya safeji Adam Sabala sell by ikona san e date Adam Sabala me o tandi e ka date men tareje consume within 3 days after manufacturing date. Well, that is the self life of the product. Akamen tandi lako na tambita wolungora Adam Sanye ata fresh la ka Gambian nyanto understand la. So but niya je EXP that is expired by, that is the issue. That is when the manufacturer is telling you past that date, I cannot guarantee its safety. I call it for you. So that is the main issue. But Gambia no more. Gambia no I did direct. I think I be killing. I be man killing. So what nan kafa le ko. Domoro janaba kila poto fon kono. Aketa nyadi le fa do poto kono o fo paketo kono wole kumayata. Because wo kono
the handling.
Exactly. The processing itself and all the intervals within processing fonko nyanga tata nyame is important. Wo kono domoro nying as a contaminate no because me atna ni domoro do meka isa sasa wala fa wala ida chemical le bije ida jang ka fa man ko ka fa me jangoro keso le bije or maybe ne wala bije or whatsoever nyin ku sabo wala katna domoro man koy pour ka dum e kam fa so ning a manke a nyama ni ba de dala hani aba hana ma expire ni ado me fa koni so wala tan tel ka focus wol to bake janin domoro bula la potol kon so mol kamera ni man tare do ko no man ken na focus in ka make sure jana wadu na poto kono processor men bije wala mtel la main priority pour ay koy because na no man ta nyama rek ma si bolo bakel e ka faham because member marché auto o ba expire dam mala jibela andu o man ka beti o ma demandi ngoda malti so ntel la doko jama ka focus woldo wala tan lim fe ngota fa dunda so mekero kono bu ka wori bake because then aba safere njele consumers now have an informed choice to say nyata dile ko nyanta expire la hani masa because ni dogo be man ken tati food safety is everyone's business,
right?
So mol ka je ko food safety and quality ko da mala dogote ama ken da mala dogote mbe ye bulo soto jele so mbe nyanta ka fula comme tari ya ko nyame nga nyoma koy nga nyindo ko ke ntel da mata kala no police ba faare nyim banko kan bar watna la sungol bu ka du mola bu ngoko e ka dunne ando sungo police si ala nyim banko kan so abure nyama do mo fana nakaro so ntel bi janne ya ntel do mo la police oti bari tatat la no la beto at all times so fo nga nyoblo fo nga nyom makoy fo businessman ole na luaya sa fe nyame fane nyanto ka wo nyama fo ntel fane na nga jibe ni me maka nyama nga bulo sila bari mel fana ka sang fo fane na dani ba san na ya jibe e kamen sang then they make an informed decision mba Gambian will encourage la ala jibe al kamen sang ala karang al kamen sang janal ba san look at the storage and handling na man ka nyama ikana sang hana ma expire ning iko inyanta mabola inyanta ni domoro inyanta bula frigo kono jani ba wafi jani ba awafila yaje ko nyimba wafi kan tilo ko kana sang hana ma expire kana sang so these are the things that are important na man ta anyama rek isa man toro soto ji
abaraka bake lamin mutar bitu ngita fana bula dorong ye kuma dantam fo moleng bari al tolle katara banta so al tol you have first hand information domoro ka handle nyaadi le silol kan supermarket ol kono and stuff like that so if na kuma dantam fo janimbe programme nying sorana.
Yes, coming lamin ya fo nyame but nga example kilen dila drong to buttress on I mean for you have mentioned the sudden issue nying of recent avenue circulate ka. So Niten nata yesadino nyintara abe pus tiebula aba wafikan abal abe tilo kono ite nyapita sadino kandro ya expiry date jibe ya jego ya ma expire ye nyungale nata sadino be tilo kono. You don't know how long abije ama expire, but probably atinyadala already. So expiry is a last thing in nakameng factor. You know, focus on domoro nyimbe handle linyadi ala nature be nyama be environment o men kono. That is very key. Number 2, lafra coming for Gambia no le. Of course, Twanyalam Gambia, our purchasing power is very low. Manke fankama baldi. Bari say imira baibita, you see Gambia we believe in cheap things. Nada diata damen drong Gambia no boroka.
That's why I have a problem with that expired Johnson in Serakunda.
Well, they call it expired Johnson. I think. Don't quote me on that. So, so Gambian people need to liaji adadiata dame hin borole kataji. And this is serious. Now, yeta aye $10 ita aye potimeo sang. Yami. Aye kurang yeta alopitano to you pay $3,000 is purke fanjara. Is it worth it? So let us be careful. Let us be careful with that. Alinkana, let's not just go for cheap. Our health is more important than the small money we will use. Purka, you know, fengol many yalanko they are just about to be expired, or fengol many yalanko they are being sold at a very cheap price. Just puru hamga ngasodore at a cheaper price. We should avoid that. The second thing I want to say is, like na Actia indicated, it is the primary responsibility. The primary responsibility of the food business operators is to put the food, to present safe food that will not harm consumers. It is the primary responsibility of the food processors. So mol menu be domorol deda kang iba wafi kang. Ide ka tabile ka wafi o ka sanne ya wafi. Ala primary responsibility one amu itolle tati. Pour ka make sure be domoro me wafi kang ay safe. Itolle follow la doku. Number 2, menul kasang. Let's not go cheap. At least let's value our life and our health. Don't go cheap. Dobe jeni aja cheap ta dame bake fongo. Ite fongo la common sense nyan na dile ko. Why is it that iba wafi kan jena $25, jang iba wafi kan $5? Come on. Sise kilo, you are seeing more be sise kilo wafi kan, you know, in the street on barigos for $5. On the normal shop, the Bawafi can $10. You prefer to buy it for $5 on the last time I was on the radio, someone was talking about eggs coming from outside and Gambia. And so sometimes the way they store the eggs also. But because it's cheap, you go and buy it. I ask you a simple question. Aka bitala kilo kan na bitala kilo ka kamine aka heat le provide the heat turns, it changes the eggs from normal egg to siseringo. So sise kilo heat le ka change ayatinya. So ite wo sise kilo ta ya bondina marché ya bondina container kono cold chain yana na ya faliti lo kono ite be tambika nya be sise kilo la bitilo kono. It's cheap, you buy it. Let's stay away from cheap. Let's focus on what we are buying, and alinkana stingy. Let us be very careful with what we buy in the markets. And finally, and very seriously, when we see food safety problems, report it to the right place. Ninga problem oje me alonko is food safety related, contact food safety. Food safety mansakunda londile just to help the country to consume safe food. As simple as that. Near problem oje daora, call us or come to our office. We are at traffic lights, just at the petrol station, above right choice, we are there. Contact us anytime. We are available and we are at your service.
Thank you very much, Mukhtar Sonko, and thank you very much, Lamin Jaite. I think that was a very, very exhausted topic today. Thank you guys for coming to the Fatu Network.
Thank you very much for having us.
And now moving on to our business segment. Every time we talk about sand, the first thing that comes to mind is, of course, well, construction. And now we have a new company called Sino Majilak changing the entire game in this industry. And today I am joined by the communications manager of the company, Mr. Banka Mane. Welcome to the Fat Network, Banka.
Thank you.
Give us an overview of your
own company, and we are into sand dredging. What we do is we dredge sand from the sea and then pump it on to land, and this is what we market all throughout the country. We believe this is the future, and this is the way to provide sustainably and I mean environmentally sustainable product to the country, instead of having to do it the good old way that has been very destructive, if you will.
This is like the first of its kind in this country. People are not used to, hearing sand dredging. What is the difference when it comes to the quality? Because oftentimes we talk about sand, people are thinking mining. So how is the quality different from the one we are getting on land?
Well, the quality is so different. It's funny. When you go to Banjul, to Quadrangle, those government buildings you see there, you see how rock solid they are. They were built during the colonial days, and they still to this day are in rock solid shape. They were built with the same sand that we are dredging. So, and that's the quality of the sand that we have. If you are going to Banjul, on the left-hand side, right before Denton Bridge, when you look, you will see a big sand dune over there. And obviously, even looking at it from a distance, you can tell this is really nice, beautiful sand. And that's how also it is. It is so malleable. You can, construction companies love it for the simple fact that when you mix it with cement, you don't need as much cement to make it work. And the blocks, the cement blocks that you make with it are very, very sturdy. And they are very, very durable. So any aspect of the cement work that you do with it, and not just make it cement blocks, it literally, like the construction guys, local construction guys call it rahiro, rah.
Yeah.
Everybody is calling for this sand to use it for rah, because they say that it's the best. When you mix it with cement and you do it, it's easier, it's more smoother. I mean, they describe it in ways that sometimes I feel like, okay, if I have to repeat this, people just said, oh, this guy is just marketing.
Yeah.
But I always tell them, look, you guys probably should be the ones to go out there and talk about this. Hopefully it will. But it's really, 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 really a very wonderful product as far as construction in every facet.
I'm sure one thing that everyone is curious about is the process. How does it work? Because it's one thing to just go on land and grab some sand there, but it's a whole nother thing to get it from water. How does it work?
Well, we have a dredger. We have a vessel, pretty much. That's what it is. In the sea, that has the equipment to dredge from the bottom. So, and this is how the sand is removed from the sea, and then it goes through pipes and then dumped on land. So it's different in that aspect, because when I'm sure you are very familiar with the issues surrounding sand problems in this country.
Absolutely.
What folks have been doing is literally go to the beach. The sand dunes that used to form on our beaches, that's what they use. They've been digging, and they're basically taking. And when those sand dunes were all gone, now they are digging to get the sand. And when those sand dunes were there for a purpose, they were there as a protective shield, and that is gone against coastal erosion and a lot of these things. And also because once they remove the sand and there is no sand dune anymore, they started digging. So they have created craters, trenches in these areas. If you go all around the coast, you see these trenches that have destroyed women's gardens, destroyed farmlands, destroyed the furrows, destroyed so much. And even these things have become pools of water where crocodiles will reside in, posing a threat. And also, the forest is what they are cutting down to really get to this sand. So this has been causing a lot of problems. So with this, our expectation is that we are mitigating such environmental disaster while at the same time providing something that is economically viable both in terms of our own profits and,
right.
and also for our own economic growth as a country.
Right. Which makes me want to ask, how does this meet the sand needs of this country?
We can provide sand to the whole entire nation, even though the services are still not provided in the provinces because it will take time to get there. But at least in our neighborhood here, where construction boom, Sadio, the amount of construction boom in this country is unprecedented. They are building everywhere. Not to mention even road construction is being done with now concrete, Banjul, for instance. As you know. So the needs for sand in this country is immense, and this is only going to increase. Because we still have the OIC that is coming, they're going to need a lot of sand.
Okay.
We still have other projects that people are now beginning to launch. Now that we have a new democracy, people are coming back from the diaspora to build, and even the investors are finally coming and investing now. So the amount of construction that is happening, and that is going to be happening in the near future, is going to be unbelievable. So we have to have a sustainable means of fueling this growth. And so the current process that we have is never going to be able to deal with that because, and if it does, it's going to come at a cost that is unbelievable. So that's why this process here is the way to go, is the future. And many countries, by the way, have now switched to sand dredging.
Right.
Yes, if you go to countries like Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria, you find a lot of dredging being done too, because they
even
know,
in Asian countries like I think Cambodia and
there
stuff.
you go, correct.
Yeah.
So because this is the future. The current way that we do this thing is not sustainable at all. It's only going to cause many more problems for ourselves and our future.
And that's correct. Now, before we get to the pricing and the numbers that you are going to share, because when we talk about sand, in Gambia, it's always very controversial. We know what's happening along the coast regarding this whole sand mining thing.
Right.
Is there any impact of dredging on the environment?
Yes, there is some impact, because anytime you disturb the environment, you have some impact. So what we are looking at is a way of doing this that is way less impactful than what we currently have.
Right.
Because the alternative, I don't need to even talk about the alternative. We've all known the disaster that it has caused. This way here, many countries are switching to it because they've come to realize, look, anytime you disturb the environment, it's going to have some environmental impact.
Right.
What this one, the impact it will have, we don't necessarily, even many countries that are doing it, don't necessarily fully know until 100 years or so. But at least for now, so far so good, because it has been part of our solution in the country already. This is not the first time we are dredging. Banjul, when it was threatened by the sea, remember, and the graveyard was literally gone.
Almost swallowed, yeah.
Now, they called the Dutch company to come and do what? To dredge. So that's what they did. This is exactly what they did, to save Banjul. So it is part of a solution. And that's what makes it such a sort of an enticing alternative, because people are using it even as a solution. Forget about us getting sand and selling it.
Right.
This is the way to deal with coastal erosion and many other problems already. So it's only when sometimes you say, oh, we got to sell the sand, people say, oh, but what about the environment?
Right.
But when they were brought in the dredgers here to deal with the Banjul problem, people didn't talk about the environment. So you see the economic aspect, the moment that's mentioned, that's when environmental discussion comes up. But when it's really offered as purely a solution to an issue and with no economic benefit, if you will, then that conversation never comes up. So the reason why I'm saying that is that people don't have anything to fear, because this has already been done here, and we've all seen how it has helped to solve a problem.
Right.
And that's exactly what we are doing. The area we are dredging right now, by the way, when they dredged Banjul to remove that sand and to push the sea back to save Banjul, the study was done at the time, and the recommendation was that all the sand in those areas coming to around the Denton Bridge area where we are, all those ones need to be removed also. This was a study that was done, and recommendation that was made. So when we decided to do this, the first thing everybody was telling us is, why don't you go over here, because we need to remove this sand.
Right.
So this is why we are in this place, because the sand needed to be removed. If you stand on Denton Bridge and you look out, you will see a water line. It's almost like a river, a bank. because the water is bouncing like it's literally is coming on the coast. There's a long line that you see. That long line is there because it's all sand. That whole entire area, sand has come up. And the other observation you will also make is that if you go into Banjul, you stand on Denton Bridge, on your right hand side you will see boat, but on the left hand side you will not see any boats because it is all sand. It's not navigable. Boats cannot move around there. Right. So once we do this, it's going to open that area for navigation, for boats to be able to go out, and even for fish life. Right. Because in that area, because of the sand deposit, fish cannot survive there. So once you remove the sand, the mud on the floor, which is what these fish survive on, will finally be able to come back and make it home.
Now I understand part of the place that you are dredging belonged to women who were using that area to do, was it fishing or something?
No, actually the land that we are located on was used by some women to grow rice, to cultivate rice. Right. Now they don't own it. They just, it's like women looking around for a place to cultivate land. Somebody says, why don't you guys do it here? No, we don't use it, so go ahead. So this is how it was. I actually bring it up because when you guys went back to give a donation, it caused quite the stir on social media, like, oh, this is what happens. You guys come back, establish your companies, and all of a sudden you are, making the masses suffer and stuff like that. As the communications manager of the company, how do you respond to these allegations? No, the allegations, I mean, very few people actually said that, but for the most part, I'm happy that overwhelming majority of people actually saw the gesture of what it was, which was, these women were using this land, they don't own it. In fact, they could be kicked out of there anytime. And whoever kicks them out would be fully within their rights to do so. Because you don't own my land, I own it, I allow you to use it. If I come there and kick you out, what can you do about it? I mean, it's not like, I don't care what you're growing over there. I find it, I feel like I need the land, I can use it, right? And that's what it was. The land was there like that. They were just allowed to use it to cultivate land, rice. So when we came there and we took ownership of that land, of that place, buying it from the owners, we decided, you know what, we can kick them out because it's our land, but we are not going to do that. We're going to sit down with them and ask them how much rice they get every year. They told us, they said, we get so many bags every year when we grow the rice. And we said, okay, here's what we'll do. You go home, take care, attend to your business, and even maybe go do something else. You're going to get that amount of rice every year. Every year. You don't have to work for it from here on out. I think that's a sweet, sweet deal. If I have to just sit at home and the yields that I get from a place, I'm going to be given for free without doing anything, Sally, wouldn't you take that? Great social corporate responsibility. Yeah, and they got excited about it. They couldn't believe it. And we were like, yes, that's what's going to happen. So we just already gave them this year's already, by the way. Even before we started operations was when we started doing that, because we thought, we haven't started operations, but they are not going to work the land anyway. So let's go ahead and do it. So we gave them the rice, and you saw the news reports. That's correct. That's correct. And now finally, how does the pricing work? Because anything construction is like ridiculously priced nowadays, especially when it comes to cement and the whole other stuffs. But how does the pricing work for your company? Yeah, well, the price, here's the deal. When we were coming into this field, we decided we are also going to make sure that we make it, one of those ventures where people will look at it and say, this is exactly the kind of corporations we want in this country. That is in terms of our corporate social responsibility, in terms of our environment, our impact on the environment, in terms of our participation in the economy, in terms of all facets, how we approach business. This is what we want to do. And in that scheme, the pricing is a part of it, where we want to make sure the price that we provide the community, the people, is stable. One, it's not, doesn't kind of experience these upswings and downswings that we've been seeing. Yeah, especially like during the rainy season. And stuff. During the rainy season, anybody who has built in this country, during the rainy season, sand prices shoot up into the sky. Even a 10 wheel, what they call a 10 wheel, goes up to 12,000, 13,000. People have even said they've paid $15,000 for it. That's ridiculous. So we are saying we are not going to do that. We're going to make sure that the price is stabilized. That it doesn't go, what you've paid for it during the summer, the winter months is what you're going to pay during the summer months. So as part of that scheme, we have pegged the price at $650 per cubic meter. Now, that's what they call a wheel here. You know, they say, oh, 10 wheel, that's 10 cubic meter. So a 10-wheel truck will be $6,500, which is what they are selling currently in the market for $9,000. But the what do you call it? The transportation is not part of that. So the transportation at the most will cost you $1,500, $2,000. So when you put it all together, it probably will be around $8,500 or $8,000, somewhere along those lines, because it'd be $1,500 or $2,000. So in a market where the same truck will cost you about $9,000. So this is how we are stabilizing the price, giving a lower price. And number two, obviously, when it rains, if people make it 12,000 out there, we are not going to give it to you for 12,000. It's still exactly the same
still sticking
price.
to the original price.
Yes, absolutely. So this year's rainy season, and somebody was telling me just yesterday, he said, you know why I'm so excited about construction this year? I said, no. He said, you guys are going to help me be able to save so much money, because knowing that I don't have to pay 12,000, 13,000, 14,000 for a 10-wheel, he said, that is a blessing. I said, well, that's why we are here. We want to make sure that our actions are interpreted like that and they are seen to be like that.
Thank you.
And that's exactly how we're going to continue to conduct business.
Thank you very much. Banker, do you have any numbers to share for our viewers out there?
Yeah, the QCell number is 530-7733. That is 530-7733. And our AfriCell number is 277-7753. 277-7753. That is 277-7753. Those are our numbers. If they call that number, they will get an agent that is going to help them and make sure that they get their sand in a timely fashion. Now we have our own trucks. We can deliver. So when they call us, we give them the price and they agree. They just make the payment, boom, boom. I mean, because the trucks, the benefit for the trucking companies and the truck owners and the trucks, by the way, is that they don't have to go into ditches to fetch this sand. It's right there at Denton Bridge. You can just come through, boom, boom. The loader is going to load it. There is no, dangerous means to do this. We just load it within minutes. You are out of there. So you can do 30, 40, 50 trips if you want to. So business is open for us and for the truck drivers, truck owners, and for the general public.
Business is open, as you heard from the communications manager, Sino Majlak Company. Thank you very much for coming through, Banker.
My pleasure, Sergeant.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.